Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Merry Christmas. My name is Margaret and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And thank you, Anthony, and for everyone else who's doing service on this wonderful meeting. When I say I'm recovered, I don't say that out of any form of ego. My ego has been smashed. It was smashed a while ago. I say that because today I have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. And that's precisely where I was at when I came into AA, or when I was brought to AA. I did not choose to come to AA. I was so very ill and I was close to death. My daughter phoned AA and a lady came to my house, 12-step me, and told me her story. And that was my first introduction to AA. I'd never heard of AA, knew nothing about it. And the furthest thing from my mind was the fact I might be an alcoholic. I was in complete and utter denial. I was 62 years old. My father died when he was 62 years old of this disease. He was untreated. Unfortunately, he never found AA. But at 62, I arrived and I was absolutely broken. I was just done. And in the hospital bed for the third time in 12 weeks for an emergency detox, I said to myself, one drink and I'm dead. One drink and I'm dead. And that became my mantra. And I didn't realise at the time, because I knew nothing about AA, that I was in effect taking the first step or part of the first step. And it took me a while to get well mentally. I was completely insane. I did go insane. I'd been hallucinating for days on end. You know, the things I'd seen was just unreal. And what I did see, the strange thing is, what I did see, I can remember today. I couldn't tell you my life before. I can't really remember much about the early days, but I could tell you what those hallucinations were, and they will stay with me. And as I say, I was completely broken. I was drinking 24/7. I could not stop. Every waking moment, I drank. I used to feed myself on a packet of crisps and a cup of waffle, and that was my sustenance. So by the time I got to hospital, I was malnourished. My liver wasn't functioning, my kidneys weren't functioning. I had seriously low blood pressure and, dehydrated, the whole shebang. But slowly but surely, I was agoraphobic as well, so I couldn't go to a meeting on my own. This wonderful lady who came into my life took me to AA meetings, and I didn't understand much at the beginning. In the forefront of my mind, all I could see was the word God. And I thought, no, no, no. I've been brought up as a Roman Catholic and I left that behind me a long, long time ago. When I was 24 years old, my son died, and my baby son, and I never forgave God for that. So me and God just did not get on. But bit by bit, I listened to what was being said in those rooms, and I began to understand things. They told my story. They spoke my thoughts. And that was really weird. I didn't think anybody thought like me. In fact, I thought this lady had given them the heads up about my life. But it turned out not to be true. It turned out I was very much an alcoholic. You know, I have an illness called alcoholism that I will have for the rest of my life. And the only way to control that is to take my medicine from AA. My medicine is no longer alcohol and hopefully will never be again, as long as I keep myself in fit spiritual condition. So when I was about 5 months sober, I was at a crossroads. I was in a bit of a dilemma about the God thing. And because I used to speak by then, and I used to rattle on about, I'm not taking up a religion, I'm not doing that. And someone said to me, but it's a God of your understanding. It can be anything. It can be a cat, it can be a tree, it can be anything. But I wasn't the type, because of what I'd been through, I had to be brutally and utterly honest. I couldn't make anything up. I couldn't fake it to make it. It was honesty all the way down the road for me. So after a meeting one day, this guy, about 6'4", he had ear piercings and dressed in leather, and he said to me, why don't you just think of God as good, orderly direction? And something just hit me out of the blue. And I had this spiritual experience that I can't put into words. Something washed right over my body. And I feel every time I talk about it, I feel it. Something washed right through my body. And from then on, I was okay. Good orderly direction sat well with me. I needed instruction. I needed to do what I was told, and I needed to be honest. And that I could accept. So that's what my God became. And from there, I got a sponsor. And it just happened to be the lady who had 12-stepped me, who had came to the house. I had serious trust issues. So I'd started building a trust with this lady. And she knew a bit, well, she knew a lot about us by then. So we went through the steps. And by the time I was 11 months, I'd finished the steps. And then someone asked me to sponsor them. And I was terrified. I thought, how can I do that? So I asked my sponsor, and she said, well, you've done the steps and you've been here 11 months. You've got something to pass on. So I did it, and it went all right. But in hindsight, I don't think I knew enough. But do you ever know enough? If you can help another alcoholic, it doesn't matter if you've been here a week, a month, you can help another alcoholic. And then I found somewhere called ACA because my father had been an alcoholic. I'd had a violent experience in childhood, completely dysfunctional family. I'm one of 5 children, and it was just utter chaos, fighting all the time. And so I thought, that sounds interesting. I'll go along to those meetings. So I went to ACA meetings for 8 months, and I learned a lot, an awful lot. It helped me. I needed to understand, about this disease. And I did the same with character defects. I thought, yeah, I think I know what people pleasing is, but I'm going to read about it. And I sort of went deeper with everything. And it was just me. It was just the way I was. But it definitely, definitely helped me by doing that. Because I thought, initially I thought I knew it all. And I thought I could fix anybody, anywhere. But, it's been such an amazing, amazing experience, this for me. Even though I was 62 years old, I've learned more in the past. It's 10 years now. I've just celebrated 10 years in November. And, I never ever believed, I'd get to this point. It's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. I have to pinch myself every day. But all I've done is do one day at a time, done what was suggested, and continue to do that. So when I was 2 years, I moved from the northeast of England, where I got sober, that's where I'm from, down to the south of England because my daughter was down here with her husband and the children. And she asked me to move beside her. I mean, what a turnaround. You know, I put those kids through hell, you know, and they wanted me to live beside them. So, and I agreed to do that. I was honored to do that. I just retired. I was bankrupt when I came here in more ways than one. And, you know, I'd started sort of building my life up again, bit by bit, started building things up. So I applied for a property down here. And you know what? Everything just fell into place. You know, all the little ducks were lined up and everything just went smoothly. So 8 years ago, I moved out, it'll be 8 years in January, I moved down here. And then I really started actively sponsoring when I came down here. And that is such a privilege. And for me, you know, I used to hear you've got to give it away to keep it. I say you've got to give it away to get it because I've got so much from sponsoring other ladies because everybody's lives are different, you know, and yeah, I might have been 62 when I got here, but I had a lot of life experience and I could help younger people with my experience. And, you know, it's just been this learning, you know, I've remained teachable. Throughout the 10 years, I've remained teachable and I'll continue to do so because I absolutely love it. I love learning new things. So down here, it's the hardest thing for me was finding me AA family again because I was well embedded in my AA family in the Northeast. And it took me about 6 months, you know, to sort of settle in to AA properly. But once I started sponsoring, got in with the community, doing a service, and, you know, before I knew it, I was secretary at meetings, and, you know, I've always actively done service. That's what I was told to do, so I did it. And I got many wise words from my first sponsor. You know, she used to say, you're 62 years old. This isn't going to go away overnight. You know, you've got all these years to go through. And I just used to listen. I didn't question back. I just used to take on board everything that was said to me. Sound like a bit of an angel, don't I? But I was so broken, you know, one drink and I'm dead. So, you know, I had to follow this path. Religiously had to follow this path. So started sponsoring, and then before we knew it, we were in COVID. Hey ho. And when COVID started, I found this meeting in Glasgow called Emotional Sobriety. And I was sort of at that point where, I need to learn it. I need to go deeper again. You know, your senses tend to tell you that. For me, anyway. You know, I get this instinct where, right, it's time to do a bit more work, Margaret. And I heard this guy chair called Alan Berger, and some of you might have heard of him, some might have not. And he'd written books, and I was mesmerized listening to him. And I thought, I'm exactly where I need to be today. So he'd written about 5 books. So me being an alcoholic, bought them all, read them all, you know, and it was amazing, you know, just, it's like every stage of sobriety from the start, going a bit deeper, learning a bit more. And that sort of led me down the path of Friendly Circle Berlin because Alan's name was attached to Friendly Circle Berlin. And whilst in COVID, I was sponsoring ladies on Zoom, you know, and that Zoom was amazing. You know, I was able to help other ladies on Zoom, 12-step people on Zoom, and I was isolated myself because of health issues. But, you know, I just got on with it, and I managed lockdown really well. I didn't get COVID throughout the period, so that was all right. That was good. And it was just remarkable, you know, to be transformed to an isolation, which is what we shouldn't do. We're told not to do, but I thrived on it because of what I was doing. I was able to thrive on it. Then I started coming to Friendly Circle Berlin, which became another experience in itself, because that led me even deeper into other things. Trauma, you know, it's like we've talked about grief, we've talked about somatic therapy, IFS, you know, all of these wonderful workshops that are put on every Monday. And so the growth happened again. You know, I just kept this, I felt myself inside getting stronger. The hole in the soul is gone. The hole in the soul is now gone. Today, I have complete and utter trust in the God of my understanding. It's not good audio direction now, although I would highly recommend it. It's something deep within me. I feel it inside. It's like a spirit. It's like my spiritual self seems to have come to the fore. Over the past year, I've had quite a few health issues. I needed hearing aids, you know, the years were going. And then I was told in August that I would remain partially sighted in one eye and I needed an operation in the right eye. But, you know, acceptance. And early on, I was told acceptance is the key to all your problems, Margaret. And I do just automatically accept things today. And forgiveness. You know, I hated my dad when I came here for his aggression. My dad was a really sick man. You know, he was lost in the jungle in Burma in the Second World War when he was 19 years old. I mean, that's enough to send anybody insane. I found forgiveness, you know, and compassion for other people. I don't judge people anymore. You know, I just accept people. That doesn't mean to say I'm not human and I don't get irritated sometimes, or somebody rattles me. Even somebody in the rooms could rattle me sometimes, but it quickly goes. I know how to deal with these things today. I've just got a peaceful, wonderful life. I've got beautiful grandchildren, four beautiful boys. And I've got a son and a daughter who love me. And when I celebrated my 10 years, my sponsor and my sponsees had me a book made, a proper book made in colour of the people I'd taken through the steps with their families, pictures and notes alongside of them. I mean, what kind of love is that? That is love above and beyond, you know, and I can pick that up and I can look at it and see these people well now. You know, I can look in the mirror and see me well now. You would not believe what I looked like when I came in here. I can't believe what I looked like looking back. But lives can be changed. Miracles happen in these rooms. And you're looking at a miracle today. I'll just leave it there. Thank you. Thank you so much.